I've drafted Edge of Eternities over 100 times and gotten multiple accounts to Mythic this season, and these are the 9 things that I've learned that have increased my win rate. So if you want to do better in this set, you're going to want to watch this video.
And the very first thing that I learned the hard way after drafting this set so many times is that these 3 color pairs, black-green, red-blue, and red-white, are not the best ones to be in. Now, according to the data on 17 lands, these do have the worst win rates out of all of the color pairs. So I'm not saying that you can never trophy if you play in these color pairs, but you should be a little bit cautious when you're taking your picks, especially the monocolored ones earlier on, and you want to try to avoid these 3 color pairs. So I'll start with red-white, and I have gotten a trophy with this color pair, but there is one thing that you need to know, and that is you should avoid trying to build around the synergies in this uncommon here. So you do not need to take all the stuff that care about being tapped, because it's actually not a very good payoff, and it's not a very good mechanic that you should build your entire deck around. I mean, if you just read Sammy, on paper it seems great. You get a 2/2 at the end of your turn, but in order for this to even trigger, there's so many things that it requires. You need to have a spacecraft that you are okay stationing with 2 of your creatures, meaning you don't have 2 blockers, and then this only makes a tapped 2/2, so it doesn't even get to block for you if you tap 2 of your other creatures. And of course, if you can attack and your creatures don't die, then you're better off just attacking and ending the game than trying to make a 2/2 that's tapped. So if you are in this color pair, just try to build it more mid-rangey and just take the best cards in both colors. Next, for red-blue, this build around uncommon is really difficult because you're going to need around 10 to 12 triggers or 10 to 12 artifacts in order to make this card worth it. And it's just not that possible because everyone knows that blue is one of the best colors and you're not going to get a lot of the cryogen relics. And so that's why this color pair is really difficult to put together at the end of the day. So if you do see the red-blue signpost uncommon come around, don't take of it as a sign that you should definitely get into this color pair. And then lastly, with green-black, there's just not a lot of self-mill in this format, so it's kind of hard to build around the recursion theme. And also, everyone knows that green is the best color in this set, so it's pretty contested and heavily drafted. The second lesson is that spaceships are bad in this set. Even though this was the whole thing that this entire set was built around for Edge of Eternities and the galaxy and being in space, almost all of the spacecrafts are pretty bad, except for these 2, Felgraf Ship in black and Larval Scoutlander, the one that ramps you and fixes your mana. So if you see spacecrafts and they're not these 2, then don't think of it as a sign that that color is open. Next, everyone has already figured out that green is by far the best color in the set, and as I mentioned earlier, it's significantly overdrafted. But if you find yourself starting in green because you opened up a really good green rare, or green does somehow seem to be open maybe in your first couple picks, keep in mind that it's probably going to get contested later. So you're going to want to build your green deck as if it's a multicolor 3 or 4 color deck. So I actually highly prioritize Command Bridge if I know that I'm in green. You're going to want to take Gene Pollinators early and Sammy's Curiosity. This card does not have a good win rate, but because you know that you're going to be building a multicolor deck, this is great for fixing. Larval Scoutlander obviously is just good in every single green deck, so you should take that. But I also want to point out 2 other artifacts, All Fate Scroll and Survey Mechan. Now, Survey Mechan especially has been an absolute game changer in multicolored green decks. This card alone does so much work. You kill something, you gain 3 life, and you draw 3 cards, and this thing is hexproof, so there's nothing your opponent can do to kill this thing. So you can put counters on it for free, you can buff it and attack, there's so many things you can do with this, and if you can trigger it for like 7 or 6 mana, then it's just one of the best cards in your entire deck. And All Fate Scroll similarly is just a great draw engine and also gives you fixing. And so when you are in green, just remember you want to go multicolor 3 or 4. My next tip is that expensive spells in this set are actually okay. This set was designed to be a little bit slower than other sets, and there's not a really big aggro color pair that's doing well in the format. So don't be afraid to take expensive cards. Now, you don't want too many of them, but don't be afraid to take them, especially if you open them pack 1, pick 1. So Weft Walking is a really great card. You basically draw 7 cards. Even though your opponent gets to play 1 card for free, the odds of them having really good cards on their turn 6 is not that likely, and it's far better for you to draw 7 cards. Mouth of the Storm also has a really fantastic win rate, and even though it costs 7 mana for a 6/6, this card is really good. Starwinder is a great build around rare, even though it costs 7, again, because it has so much upside and benefit, you should still take it. Nebula Dragon is one of the better commons in red. It's both a lethal threat and a removal spell. Everyone knows Glacier Godma is fantastic. Mutinous Massacre. Now, because it's 7 mana and multicolored, I think a lot of people don't take this card, and I would agree. In most sets, a 7 mana board wipe is way too slow. You'll be dead by then if you're playing control and relying on this to stay alive. But because this set is so slow and there's lander tokens and you can ramp, this is actually one of my favorite cards in the whole set. Definitely worth a pack one, pick one. Pinnacle Killship is just good because it's a removal spell, and then when you can station it, it's a 7/7 flyer that ends games, and it's a common. It hasn't been happening as much anymore, but up until last week, a lot of people were passing the End Stone because a lot of people thought it's 7 mana, which is too expensive. But basically, you should pack one, pick one, and build around this. It's so good. Just try to stay alive till turn 7, and then it gains you life every turn because you basically reset to 10. So your opponent needs to do 10 damage in their turn in order to win the game. And that's really difficult, especially if you have blockers. And remember, every single card you play draws you another card. And then Extinguisher Battleship, 8 mana, normally not a good card, but because this set is slower, again, this is totally worth pack one, pick one-ing, and it only costs 5 to station it. You station it for 5, it's a 10/10 flying trample, so basically the game is over. Now my next tip actually builds on top of that one, and that's because this set is a little bit slower and the games go a little bit longer, you want to focus on value plays. So you want to get as much value from your cards as possible. So try to get 1 or 2 cards that let you draw cards or let you filter through your deck. So Melded Moxite counts as one of those draw spells because if you flood out with lands, you can just discard them and then draw 2 new cards. And with all your cards that have warp, try to see if you can afford to warp everything so you can get more value out of your cards because the games do tend to go longer. Next, because as I mentioned, the games go longer and you should be focusing on value, the other thing to remember is that you should almost always play 17 lands in this set. There's almost been less than maybe 1 time where I've gone 16 lands. So 17 lands for sure. Next, keep in mind that this set is one of the most balanced sets other than Final Fantasy that has been put out for a while in draft, which means you should stay open longer when you are drafting. So I recommend for the first 5 picks, just take the best card in the pack regardless of the color. You probably don't need to force anything, even though yes, green on paper is the best color pair. Keep in mind it's overdrafted. So I would say for the first 5 packs, just take the best colors and then try to find your open lane. Next, this set has a ton of really fun build around rares and uncommons. I've got some up on the screen right here, but I made a whole video about the best build around rares that you should be taking in Edge of Eternities. So you're going to want to watch that video because if you can get any of these in your pack one, pick one, it's going to make your draft really, really fun. And I promise the payoffs are worth it, especially Terry Symbiosis. Next, I want to talk about how to build blue-white because I was doing it all wrong up until I watched the latest video from Limited Level Ups on how to properly do it. And it's totally changed my win rate. Basically, Station Monitor, if you see this card and you know this lane is open, it's a very powerful color pair to be in, but there's a very particular way to build around it and cards that you need to take that are not really intuitive. So for example, this Gale Blade card, which is very bad, you should never almost take this card, but if you are in blue-white, you should take it. You want to take as many 1-drops as possible because it'll allow you to double spell as early as turn 3. And also, this card is great because it triggers your double spell cards, and then when you need more fuel, you just pay 2 mana, sack it, draw a card, and then that'll let you double spell again. Also, Starport Security, normally not a great card. You should take this because it's a 1-drop. And then everything that has warp is another card that you should prioritize, obviously. And then Sunstar Lightsmith. Normally, I would say bad card, but in this set, it's really good. Just hold it in your hand until turn 5 or turn 6 where you can double spell, because then you'll get to draw a card off of it, put a counter on it, and then if they don't kill it, you keep drawing cards, which allows you to keep the combo going. If you want to see if I can get from bronze to mythic in under 24 hours, you're going to want to watch this playlist right here, but I hope these 9 tips can help you be more successful in the Edge of Eternities draft so you can also get to mythic.